Hey you guys, thank you for clicking on the video. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join me. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about gaslighting. Gaslighting and guilt tripping. I call it gassing and guilting. Yeah. I can't stand it. It's one of my biggest... Ugh. I just can't stand that shit when people do it. And someone posted something on Facebook this morning about complex trauma, and they had a little list going on there of things you might be feeling if suffering from that. And one of them was being in a situation where the only emotion you're allowed is to be happy or calm. Fuck that. I say fuck that. Okay. There's nothing worse than being in a situation like that. Not allowed to have any other emotions. You're only allowed to be happy or calm. Now, there's several ways in which this can happen to you. And people can maneuver you into, push you into that corner where that's all you get. There's many, many ways that can happen to you. And all of them piss me off, and I've been through all of them. It's wrong. And if someone's doing it to you, it's fucking abuse, okay? Whether you know it or not, it is psychological fucking abuse, and it needs to stop, okay? And there are people out there every day either doing this to others or allowing it to happen to themselves, and sometimes not even knowing it, not even being aware of it. In fact, a lot of times people who do it to others, it is so deeply ingrained in their being, these toxic defenses and lying and pathological behavior, deflection, gaslighting, blame shifting. It's so ingrained in their survival since childhood, because perhaps they grew up in a toxic or abusive environment and it was done to them by the parents. That's where they got it and went on in their life with no therapy, no counsel, no studying on this stuff. Nobody intervened, and they weren't able to grow in their emotional intelligence and learn we don't do that shit. That's not how we survive in this fucking world. By going around playing fucking head games with people, gaslighting, deflecting, projecting, minimizing, all those toxic defenses and head games. But there are people that live that way because they don't realize that confident, healthy-minded human beings don't have to do those things. Generally, when people do those things, they are struggling with their emotional intelligence in certain areas. They have either been through trauma in their past or in their childhood, and they either don't know any better or they haven't healed or worked through a lot of that stuff. So oftentimes when we see people reacting and using those toxic techniques, we know that a part of them, hell, they might be 55 years old, but we will know immediately that a part of them is still only about 6 emotionally in that one area when it comes to confronting certain things or handling certain things emotionally. We will know that that person is a scared little child in that level, and they're using these toxic techniques and defense mechanisms with people. Yes. And it's wrong. It's wrong, and it's abusive. And no, we don't have to feel sorry for them. We can feel compassion for them for whatever happened to them that made them like that. We can feel compassion and empathy for them all day. But feeling pity for them and excusing their behavior just because it was done to them? Nope. Just because they had a hard life? Nope. They are responsible for doing their emotional work, for learning what's right and what's acceptable and what's not. And gaslighting and guilt tripping and manipulating is never acceptable. It's abuse. It's fucking abuse. And if it's being done to you, you need to educate yourself on these things. There's a lot of people that aren't even educated on these things. They're not aware. They don't know. And it's happening to them, and they're letting it go. And it's very, very damaging to a person. They're not even aware because they're not educated on what are toxic defense mechanisms, what are the techniques that people use. And a lot of times, even the emotionally abusive person using all that shit has become unaware because it's been with them since childhood. And they've done it every single day of their life. It's just how they get by. It's just how they instantly respond to everything. It's either going to be a denial, an instant projection, an instant deflection, instant blame shifting, instant minimizing. They're going to go right to a toxic defense mechanism, okay? That's just how some people, and they don't even realize how awful it is. And that it's not emotionally grown. It's not acceptable, and it's downright abusive. They just don't realize it because they've just been doing it so long. It's second nature to them. They don't even realize how inappropriate and awful it is until you call it to their attention. Now, when you do this, you're assertive and you care about them enough that you're going to call it to their attention. You're going to make them aware. Hold them accountable. I was in a behavioral institution as a young girl when I'd run away from home, and they put me in a place, and we had to go around all day, every day with a little sheet of paper making other people aware of things. That's right. That was part of our teaching there. It was part of our curriculum there, that we learned to be assertive. It was a very good exercise. And if we didn't have so many of those at the end of the day, we got in trouble. We received a consequence. They were called verbal cues. That's right. We had to go around all day long, and they had a certain way we needed to do it. We needed to look our peers in the eye and say, I need to make you aware of whatever rule they were breaking or infraction that was going on. Say they were standing in their doorway. Well, that wasn't allowed, to stand in the doorway of your bedroom and just loiter and look out into the hallway. That wasn't allowed. So we would have to say something to the effect of, while giving proper eye contact, like you would get in trouble for each one of these little things. While giving proper eye contact, and they have to give it back to you, or you mark that down, no eye contact. You look them in their eyes and you say, I need to make you aware you're loitering in your doorway. And they, in return, were supposed to give you proper eye contact back and say, thank you for making me aware. Okay. And if they didn't give you proper eye contact, you had to say, I need to make you aware you're not giving me proper eye contact. And until they got it right, you could just keep on pulling them up and writing down infractions. And, you know, as I look back on that as an adult, those places help children so much. It was a place for teenagers. And I'm just so thankful that I had that intervention. I wasn't there long. I was only there a month, maybe 2 months. But there were some long-term kids in the 6-month unit, the year-long unit. I was in and out of places like that for most of my preteen and teenage years. So I got a lot of it. And I had a therapist, and I began to study on my own. But looking back on that lesson was a fantastic lesson for kids and teenagers. I know some adults that are 60 years old that can't do that can't give you proper eye contact and look at you with a calm yet assertive tone, not getting angry, oh, I want to tell you, and not getting all defensive, and not being all meek and mild and weird about it, but just calmly and assertively, directly look you in the eyes and let you know how they are feeling or whatever they need to say, or make you aware of something that is inappropriate that you have inflicted upon them. I need to make you aware that I'm uncomfortable with this and I'm not going to deal with that. We need to get this out on the table, okay? Now, did that sound ugly? Did it sound aggressive or threatening? No, it didn't. That's how we do things, you guys. That's how it's done. And you would be surprised the people in this world that are just horrified when you speak to them like that. Just horrified, or so offended, or their feelings get hurt, or they pretend that their feelings are hurt. You hurt my feelings. Or they'll say something like, you're just mean. That is gaslighting. That's right. When someone responds to you that way, after you have approached them in a calm and assertive manner, coming from your heart, and you have made them aware of something that is serious, that's important to you, that needs to be addressed, that they did, and they turn around and give you a response like that, that's gaslighting. It's highly damaging, and it's fucking abusive. It's fucking abusive, and people need to be held accountable for it, and they need to be made aware of it. Come on, guys. We have to stop doing this. And for you people out there doing it, playing head games with other people, responding like a little child with all of these toxic defense mechanisms, minimizing, blame shifting, projecting, deflection, word salad. Hell, they'll run you through the whole list of toxic defenses just trying to avoid accountability for one thing. When they could just face it. Yeah, I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. They could just face it and admit it and be genuine and at the same time validate your feelings. It's very invalidating and disrespectful when someone gaslights you. It's like a spit in the face. But for them to own it and apologize for it and then change that behavior and not do it to you again, that validates everything. They acknowledged your feelings, they acknowledge the fact that it hurt you, and they change the behavior. Hey, that's the appropriate and healthy way to handle that. But yeah, I'm thankful for those places that help kids like that, and you'd be surprised the adults that don't have that are so uncomfortable being assertive. With anyone. And they're very uncomfortable when you're assertive with them. And they try to put that weird shit on you. And they just, and they try to project back on you that you're a terrible person, or I don't like you because, all of that shit is toxic, toxic, toxic. And I know a lot of people, including myself, went through some rough things in their childhood, and parents did this to them. Many, many things can happen that makes a person grow up and use toxic defense mechanisms and do things like gaslighting and guilt tripping others. Either they were abused, neglected, invalidated in childhood. Maybe they weren't physically abused, but maybe their mother or father or an adult caretaker constantly invalidated their feelings. Constantly told them, oh, that doesn't matter. Oh, you don't feel that way. Oh, come on, little Tommy. Or their parents were so fucking emotionally immature that their own adult feelings came into shit. When their little kid did something or said something or tried their best to express, Mom, I'm angry. Mom, I don't like this particular thing. Or Mom, Dad, and while the child is trying to express their rightful, lining up with their right emotions. When children are young, it's very important that the parent be the fucking parent. Get your ass some emotional maturity. Don't put your feelings into it. Don't manipulate that kid. It's very important that the child be encouraged to line up with their correct emotions. For instance, if the kid is angry, the kid is fucking angry. All right? Now, of course, we have to teach them that there is a right and respectful and appropriate way to express that anger. But we also need to make them feel comfortable and safe enough to express it. And let them know that they have the right to be angry. Let them know that, well, it's okay that you're having the emotion of anger right now. You need to express that in a very healthy way. Let's find a way to get your anger out. You can talk to me about it. You can draw pictures about it. You can write stories about it. We can talk to a counselor. Angry. Tell me what you're angry about. You have the right to feel that way. But let's talk about it and let's learn responsible and healthy ways to express it. Now, the worst thing that fucking parent could do is come at that child all fucked up and toxic situation like this. Something that doesn't even look abusive, but it is. Doesn't even look damaging, but it is. Oh, little Tommy, you shouldn't say that. That's just mean. You don't feel that. Oh, don't get angry like that. Come on, put a smile. Now, come on. That's your uncle now. You should never be angry with him. Don't be mean, little Tommy. Go ahead now, put a smile on for Uncle blah, blah, blah. Or, you're hurting my feelings. What do you mean you're angry? What do you mean you don't like this? What do you mean you're uncomfortable with this and you don't want to do it? Or any of those things is fucking toxic. You don't say that to a kid. You're fucking up their head. Basically, what you're telling them and setting them up for is emotional dysregulation. They won't be able to feel comfortable in their own rightful emotions as they have them. When they are angry, you're telling them to pretend to be fucking happy. You're telling them to mix and match. What's really going on inside with their outward, you're telling them to basically lie. Lie to themselves, lie to the world, lie to everybody else. You're telling them to be inauthentic. You're telling them to be screwed up and confused. Don't do that shit. And I know a lot of the generations back got away with that shit. And there's a lot of fucked up people walking around right now because of it, having to sort the fucking tangled webs out of their mind because of it. And actually hurting and gaslighting and abusing, emotionally abusing other people and unable to connect in their partnerships because of all this emotional fuckery. It starts in childhood with a parent who might not even be abusive in an overt way. They might not hit or slap or curse the child or even neglect the child. They might be great, loving, wonderful parents, a wonderful family who just never fucking speaks authentically about what's really going on and doesn't allow the child to have their authentic feelings and teach that child to express each emotion authentically and honestly and feel it and cope with it, deal with it, express it as it comes, as it is. It's real. You're having this. I'm validating you. I know it's important. That teaches that child that their authentic emotions are important. Their feelings matter. They're going to get dealt with, addressed. Somebody's going to see it and hear it. And it teaches them to face things in life. It teaches them to be assertive. And it teaches them to find a healthy, positive channel to express those emotions. But at least they're getting expressed. Because if they don't, let me tell you what's going to happen. That's right. You're going to have one fucked up person on your hands. Confused, angry, all of these fucking emotions inside that they don't know what to do with. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to relate to people. They feel one thing, but they're scared to say it, and they have to put on a different face. They're going to have trouble in their relationships. They're going to have possible substance abuse and self-medication problems. They may become self-destructive. Don't fucking do that to your kids. Don't gaslight them. Don't guilt trip them. Don't put your adult emotions all over them. Little Tommy, it should be none of little Tommy's business that your feelings are hurt, Mom or Dad. You take your grown ass over to the therapist and you deal with your adult feelings. Little Tommy, it's his feelings that count right now. He's the child, and his feelings need to be the one that you're listening to, validating, making a safe space for him, and being the example to him of how we effectively and healthily express anger. Anger's healthy as fuck if used in the correct ways. I wouldn't let anybody take my damn anger away from me. I'm sorry. But I'm also not going to let my anger eat me alive. I'm also, I know how to take my anger and channel it into something where it doesn't eat me up with stress and negativity. Yes, that's what we have to do. We have to transmute these things, okay? So that's something that's on my heart. It's on my mind. I do not like it. Mental traps, mental head games, people teaching people to stifle their authentic fucking feelings. Especially a little child or a young person. Don't you do that fucking shit. Don't do that. You know, and when people make us aware, like I talked about in the little program I was in as a kid, when people make you aware of your behavior or how you're affecting them, they're doing you a solid. They're doing your ass a favor. They are giving you a gift. So try not to get all wadded up about it. Try not to get all offended by it. They're doing you a favor. I wish more people would be that way. I wish. But I'm a very self-aware person, and a lot of times I just don't need to be reminded that much of what's appropriate behavior and what's not, when I'm breaking a boundary and when I'm not, when I'm gaslighting and when I'm not, because I don't do that shit, because I'm self-aware. I work on those things. I watch for that kind of thing. But a lot of people aren't, okay? And they need to be made aware. Those people need to be made aware. I wish a lot more people were like that. They would care enough. If I'm doing something wrong, tell me. A lot of times, even the most self-aware people, they get busy, they get in a hurry. They don't realize maybe that they are hurting somebody else. Maybe they are offending someone else. And for everybody to just sit around and, they're hurting me, they're pissing me off, I don't like them. Or even worse, I'm going to do something to get them. I'll show them. Or I'll just start avoiding them. I don't like them. They're hurting my feelings. They're making me uncomfortable. And just disappear. Or stop talking to them all of a sudden. Or any of those damn things. Why not care about them enough to tell them they hurt you? Why not care? And I mean, if you give a fuck, if you don't, then fuck it, leave them alone. But if that's somebody you're supposed to love and care about, why not give them the gift of making them aware of their behavior and how it's affecting you, how it's hurting you, so that shit can get out on the table and maybe we could be closer. Maybe we could preserve the relationship. Maybe I won't have to leave. Maybe I won't have to not like you. Why not give them the gift of honesty and assertiveness and making them aware of things that are either going to hurt them or they're hurting you, making you uncomfortable, and you know it's going to tear the relationship apart, or it's going to end up that person is headed down a bad track. And Why just sit by all afraid and, oh, I could never say that, and I'll just, well, whatever, honey, that's okay. Everything's fine. All smiles, right? All smiles, right? Oh, we're just so happy. Everything's great. Are you fucking kidding me? It's not great. Sometimes we need to face reality, yo. And sometimes we need to be able to talk about some serious shit. On a serious tip. With a serious tone. With eye contact. We need to talk about some things. We need to get that shit out on the table. And we don't need to be forced to have a fucking smile on our face while we're doing it. That is the most horrible form of abuse to me. And disrespect. So it starts in childhood, right? The parents did it to a person. They grow up like that. All that shit is in their head. And they either don't know it's inappropriate. It's so deeply ingrained in them. It's just how they respond. Or they do know and they're just toxic as fuck. And they get off on playing these head games with people because they've always done it. Stuff like that. And there are some people that just cannot cope with, I've seen it. And like I say, it starts in childhood somewhere, some type of trauma, or somebody invalidated the hell out of them anytime they tried to speak up in their authentic feelings. They were told no. They were pushed away, blown off, invalidated. Your feelings don't matter. Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. Oh, come on now. Put a smile on your face. Quit being so pouty. Instead of getting that child to open up and talk about what was authentically on their mind, or take them to a counselor, the parent will pull that shit. Oh, come on. You're always sulking. You're always pouting. They will sit there and invalidate the fuck out of that kid. Especially as they get to be teenagers, they'll start fighting with the kid, bringing their own little wadded up adult emotions into it, instead of thinking about the psychological health of the child. Listen to them, get them to speak, tell them they have the right to feel what they're feeling. They have the right to feel angry. They have the right to feel hurt. Get them a counselor. Encourage them to talk about their real, authentic fucking feelings, including anger. Just because you're scared as the adult doesn't mean you need to put that shit on your kid and teach them to be scared too. Hate that shit. And I've seen it even in families that aren't toxic. That shit is so toxic to me. It's so fucking abusive to do that to somebody. But I've seen families where the whole entire family's that way. Oh, we don't say stuff like that. Oh, we don't tell each other how we feel. No, that's just mean. It's creepy to me. It's fucking so toxic. It's like, oh my God. Really? How do y'all survive? I mean, you just gonna sit there and let a bomb go off, or let somebody fall in that damn hole before you tell them they're fucked up, or they're fucking up, or you need to talk to them? I mean, the lack of assertiveness on some people is astounding. Gaslighting and guilt tripping. So, okay, the kid grows up after getting this done to them in childhood, being invalidated, guilt tripped. Oh, little Tommy, don't say that. That's hurting my feelings. That's just so mean. Motherfucker. I can't stand it when people say that shit. Knowing goddamn well that they have every right to be angry. So the person grows up after having all that shit pumped in their head and pulled on them and taught that way in their family. They grow up, they get in relationships, and guess what's going to happen? They're going to do that to their partner. That's right. They're going to gaslight, guilt trip, manipulate, blame shift, all the toxic list Toxic defense mechanisms, they're going to go right down the list. And it's just so abusive, man. It is. It's abuse. It needs to start being recognized as abuse, and it needs to stop. People own your shit. Stop playing weaselly-ass little head games or going into denial or all that manipulative shit I can't stand. Okay? And it's people, a lot of the older generation, man, they do it because they just can't stand reality sometimes. They have a different way of coping. And a lot of the older generation, too, will manipulate the fuck out of you. Hell yeah, I've seen it in this world. I've seen it. People's mothers, fathers, grandparents, even when they're grown, aunts, uncles, older people, well, you know, even up in their 60s and 70s, pulling that shit. I've seen it. Guilt tripping, gaslighting, and manipulating. Oh, well, the minute you need to hold them fucking accountable for something. All is well if you're letting them get by with a bunch of toxic behaviors. But the minute you need to hold them accountable for something, here comes the guilt tripping, manipulating, and gaslighting. Say you've got somebody in your family who drinks. And say the day before, they went out and bought you a new dress and some shoes and some presents, and they give it to you. You know, just because they're your family and they wanted to do that for you, and they bought you some stuff. Here you go. Surprise. And you're like, oh, wow, thank you. You know, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for thinking of me. This is great. The next day, they want to drink and drive. They want to get in their car and drink and drive with their keys and all this shit. And you say, I can't give you these keys, man. I'm not going to let you do it. It could be anybody. It could be your mom, your dad, cousin, uncle, aunt, somebody in your family. Or even a romantic partner. It could be anybody. And you got their keys and you say, no, I'm not giving you the keys. Sorry. You don't need to do this. You're intoxicated. You could kill someone or yourself. I'm not going to let you do it. And you're keeping their keys from them. Well, they get pissed off. And first technique they turn to. Most toxic people, they're going to start with one toxic defense, one toxic thing, and they're going to run through the whole list of techniques they can pull on you. Manipulation techniques, toxic defenses, to get you to fucking crack, to get you to feel, but you know, whatever, to get those fucking keys. But you are legitimately in a situation where you have every right to be doing what you're doing, and they are in the fucking wrong. Alright, so you got the keys, and the first technique they pull on you is manipulation. Oh, come on! I bought you all that stuff yesterday. Give me my keys. I want to go. I want to drive my car. I bought you all that stuff yesterday. You're just being mean. And they're going to start all the manipulating and the gaslighting, every technique they can pull. Blame shifting, projecting shit onto you, anything. They're going to run through all these toxic